Welcome everyone to our Director Roundtable discussion. This live stream meeting is to keep citizens informed on what's happening within our live or watch later, because they're recorded on our website, to keep up to date. These discussions serve as your town hall meetings, and they're open to the public. We also invite you to come live at these meetings in our council chambers so you can ask questions and we can answer them. Joining us today are our directors, Richard Johnson with Public Works, Wayne Dias, Planning Department, Tom Cool, Parks and Recs, Richard Peterson, our Operation Director, Sherry Lee Botop, our Economic and Community Development Director, and Lynn, who's always here, and she's Special Projects and my right-hand girl.
Oh, thank you.
Also, we invite supervisors to come and discuss a little bit more detail about what they do within their department. And today we have Eric Cortinez in our building department, and we call him our sugar daddy for the city. And take it away, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, little did I know.
She's a new badge.
What I'm going to do is give kind of a little bit of recap of what we do, how we do, and actually what all we did last year. I ran some year-end numbers for last year. But the building department is building permitting and code enforcement. So we receive all of the permit applications that come in, and that can be for new homes, new commercial businesses, all the way down to renovations, to generators, underground electric service if someone's renovating their house. It's land disturbance permits. You know, our process is someone comes in and makes an application. They provide their engineering and architectural drawings for their construction project. And we receive that. We have a list, we require the list of contractors. And from there, we work with the other city departments to review each of those applications for compliance with city requirements. So we work very closely with planning and zoning. I'm probably over in their office a half a dozen times a day or more. And they verify zoning and setbacks for anything within the city limits or anything that has had to go through the Planning Commission for approval. Our inspectors are combination inspectors, so they look at all four major trades for the buildings, but they also do plan reviews. So, you know, they'll go and handle their inspection load for the day, and then they'll come back to the office and start working on plan reviews. We also coordinate very much with utilities because we have electric service, water and sewer, gas to these different projects, so we need to make sure that we've got utilities available and what needs to happen as far as providing those utilities. We work with Public Works for work at the right-of-way and driveway cuts and access and drainage issues and all kinds of things. So, and that's one of the nice things that I hear from the contractors is we are kind of a one-stop shop. You can go to some other larger cities and you're going to 3 or 4 different departments and maybe multiple buildings or on multiple floors of a building. We're all kind of there together. So I walk into Richard's office all the time, they walk in my office, and we've kind of got it all together where we can do it very quickly and efficiently. We have a lot of rules and regulations. So it generally, for a residential project, will take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get an approval, because that we have to receive it. It has to go to everybody to make sure that we've got all of our requirements met. And plus, you know, depending on the workload for that day, the inspectors may not be able to touch a plan review. We've had days where we've had 60 to 70 inspections in a day for 5 or 6 guys, depending on what they're doing. They're not going to touch a plan review. Today we had about 35, which was a good day. So most of them finished up shortly after lunch, and they were in the office this afternoon working on their reviews and getting them out the door. Commercial projects take a little longer because there's more things to check. But we're also delegated as a building department. We have to verify licensing with all proper state agencies for general contractors and home builders, and we enforce the FEMA regulations through our ordinance for flood zone management. We also ultimately enforce the red clay and wetland protection ordinances that goes through our office. Kim Burmeister, who is part of the planning department, and Christina Lejeune are the point people for erosion sediment control. Ultimately, that kind of, you know, if they have issues, the building official is the one who makes the final determination on those things. So we work very closely with them on that as well. So it's a lot of things to check, it's a lot of things to do, but we get it done as quickly and efficiently as we can.
And you also were really integral in getting helping with our impact study and putting in place what we will now end up having more income there.
Correct, yeah. We redid the impact fee ordinance, what was it, probably about 4 or 5 months ago maybe, and revised it. It hadn't really been addressed since 07, 08 when it was originally written. And there were some things that weren't really covered in the ordinance, kind of things that slipped through the cracks or kind of were able to get around the requirements. So we kind of tightened that up a little bit. We're getting ready. I think I've told you we are preparing for a new code adoption in January. The building department is rated by ISO the same as the fire department. And one of the things that they look at is what edition of the code we enforce. You start getting older than 5 years, they take away points on your rating. We're currently under a 2012 and we're in 2018. So in January, we're going to go through and adopt the 2018 International Building Codes and the 2017 Electrical Code.
Perfect.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
I mean, you do a lot more, but when I said that he is our sugar daddy, the income that is taken in from this department is substantial, and it really does help fund a lot of things within the city. So we appreciate it, and you
Absolutely.
staying on top of all that.
Can we ask him to talk about 2 other things?
Sure.
Sure. Follow me.
Fortified. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The Institute of Business and Home Safety is a private organization. They created what they call the Fortified Construction Program, and it's a national program, and it gives certain steps and processes by which you can certify a structure to meet their requirements. If you meet their requirements, and they have different levels, they have a bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze is for projects where you have an existing house and you're re-roofing it, things like that, all the way up to the gold level. And if you meet those requirements and obtain their certification, the state insurance commissioner has mandated that the insurance carriers have to give you a reduction in insurance. For a gold fortified new home, it's 55% off your wind insurance.
Wow.
So
That's substantial.
we've had folks that have come in and initially when they get ready to build their house, we'll get a quote of $3,000 for that, and by the time they're ready to close the house and get their certification, they're in the $1,400, $1,500 a year range on their wind insurance. And Fairhope, actually, we are fortunate. We have some local engineers that have really bought into the Fortified program, and right now it's prevalent in about 6 or 7 southern coastal states, but the city of Fairhope has more fortified structures than any city in the United States, not just in Alabama.
Per capita.
Amazing.
Per capita. No, it's not per capita, it's period.
just
Period.
Period. We have more than anybody else. We have 23% of all the fortified structures in the state of Alabama in Fairhope. And I think it's 13 or 14% of all the fortified structures nationwide are in Fairhope.
Wow.
The Colonial Inn that Carlton Niemeyer did up on South Mobile Street has become, the fourplex that he did has become the nation's first commercial fortified structure. And they're actually going to have, I have not gotten the dates yet, but they are going to have a press conference. They're going to have state commissioner down. They've invited folks from Montgomery. So when I know that, I will let you know so that we can be there. But Carlton told me when he built it, his original rating or his original quote for insurance was over $5,000, and he wound up paying less than $2,000 is what it came through at the end.
It will pay off.
Oh, it more than pays for
And it's
itself.
that's something they've been working on nationally, right? And
It is.
So this is a great, Fairhope
is.
is kind of leading the way.
We are, and we're just very
I like
fortunate
that.
because we have folks like, Vince Lacoste is an engineer in Mobile. We have Martin Pitts, who's a local engineer. He does a lot of work, and he won't do anything that's not fortified. So we've had real buy-in with the program in Fairhope, and we're just very fortunate. We've got designers and builders who have decided that that's what we need to do.
Absolutely. I mean, build it once.
And
Yes.
Eric's being humble because, I mean, you also have educated yourself about fortified and resilience practices.
That's probably why we
and
have so
you-
many that we have.
Absolutely. So you play a,
It comes with awareness
Mhm.
of education, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then I had one more.
Oh, yes.
Sure.
It was the other project you're working on citywide.
Help me out.
Do you not want to talk about it?
Well, I don't know. I've
It's
got a
like,
bunch of
which
things
one is
going
that?
on.
Because there's so many.
This is
We
the
do.
resilience, for reducing insurance citywide.
For the flood insurance?
Exactly.
Yeah. FEMA has a program that relates directly to flood insurance. It's called the Community Rating System, CRS. It's a Code Plus program that you can join, and it also gives mandatory insurance reductions in your flood insurance if you meet these additional requirements.
That's huge.
It is, and a lot of it has to do with, preserving green space and setting aside your coastal floodplain, a lot of your coastal floodplain as green space so you don't have structures in it that may be damaged. Fairhope's really a natural for it because when this city was founded, our city fathers set aside that whole bayfront area for the park and the pier, and we've got huge areas of green space that they don't have in Orange Beach and Gulf Shores and Daphne and some of the other cities. They have some, but we've just got a lot of green space. So those are kind of things, we're working on that. That's a lot of paperwork. It's FEMA. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of things that have to be done, but that is something we're looking to get involved in early in 2019.
And you've been doing
Big
the
time
necessary
for-
certifications.
Yes.
To do, which is another huge thing
Yeah.
to take on,
Yeah.
so that we can benefit
We
from
did,
that.
yeah. It's, our guys, and I'll say this for the whole staff, I mean, we've got 5 building inspectors and 1 fire inspector. Those guys are going hard at it every single day. I ran their numbers for last year, and the 5 of them, I didn't get the numbers for our fire inspection, but the 5 of the guys did 8,982 inspections last year.
Wow.
And that's an
Insane.
average of 35 a day. And there were some days where we have 20, there's some days we have 60 or 70. But, and they look at these buildings pretty hard. I mean, we naturally perform at least, it's either 13 or 14 visits to a house. If all inspections pass the first time, we're going to be there either 13 or 14 times, depending on how they build the foundation and things like that. But, they're very good at what they do, and we're meticulous. We have a reputation for being kind of meticulous, but the people in town expect it.
It's for everybody.
They are.
It really is. And then our fire inspection, which you might not have information
Sure.
today, but it is, where we were before and where we
Oh,
are
yeah.
now is night and day.
Yes.
We're almost, we're in the 90% compliant.
We are,
For
yeah.
our businesses, and that was really, really low before.
Yeah,
so.
Sandy Garber joined us a little over a year ago, and he was a retired firefighter. He moved his son actually played football at South Alabama, so he moved here from Palm Beach County. And his son's finished playing, and he applied for the position when Mr. Odom retired. And he has just been tremendous. He's the Energizer Bunny. I have a hard time slowing him down sometimes, but he has visited almost every single business downtown. I think pretty much all of them.
But
They
he's
know him
created
by
a
name.
relationship, so
He
you don't
has.
feel like you're in there and it's the city against, the businesses.
That's
We're
right.
really wanting to partner with them to make sure that we're doing it right, and because of that relationship, that he's accomplished a
Yeah,
lot.
he's done a tremendous job, and we are very fortunate to have him, so.
Eric,
Could you quickly just go over some of the projects that are currently permitted, starting with downtown, then go to other areas?
Okay, off the top of my head, the one that I think we probably get the most questions about is the residence that's across the street from Greer's. They're on Minnick Court. That is actually, it's a 3-story building. It is actually a single-family residence. So that is owned by, I'm not going to say their name, I don't know if they want everybody to know. It's owned by a couple here in town, and they're building it. That's going to be their primary home. The house itself, it actually has a full rooftop terrace. So that entire, it's like a big porch, and it's on the roof. So, they have not a living space, but they have an entertainment space on top of that. So when you look at it, it looks extremely tall. Part of what you're also seeing, though, in that wall is that's a 42-inch parapet wall that's going to serve as their guardrail for their roof. So
okay.
actually, the floor level's about a little less than 4 feet below what you see at the top of where they are. We have got Mr. Britt across from the library has finished his building. They have all the tenants in there, and they are, I believe, in the process of designing the second building that's going to go where that little house is next to where his office currently, or was. He owns that parcel as well. Master Joe has finished Wauketa Bay. There next to the Honeybag Tam store. That just got completed. A little further down from him towards Section Street, Julie Roach, I believe, that owns Fairhope Chocolate. She owns, you'll see that building has plywood over the front. She's going to do her new store there along with an entertainment venue. She's going to have a full second floor in there and other things. She's in the process. I think she's working with Rebecca Bryant on the designs with that. The old Fairhope Hardware, there's going to be, I know, 3 commercial spaces down below. They've not submitted the build-out plans. They've got the demolition plan. And then the entire second floor, they're planning on doing residential with one section of commercial as well. And they're going to try to save that facade. If out on the back side of that stucco that you see up above, there's windows up there and there's a lot of different things. So they're going to try to save that facade and try to dress it up a little bit, similar to what Mr. Barnhill did with Fairhope Hardware after Hurricane Ivan. You know, he had that metal sheathing on it. They took that off. They found those windows.
Very nice.
They redid everything. So I think they're kind of thinking in that same way. Wayne, what else do we have? That
The one across from City Hall.
Oh, directly across, I'm sorry. That is Miss Moore's home. That's it's going to be a mixed use. That is commercial on the first floor and a single-family residential on the second floor. And that is owned by the same individual who owns what is now the Jason Will buildings, the old bicycle shop. She renovated that building. She owns it. And she's going to do something kind of similar, I think, with the other, although it's going to have a more of an entry facade, and her residence is going to be on the second floor. We received plans for 2 buildings directly across the street from Greer's on those 2 empty lots that face it before Minute Court. Mr. Bethay is going to build 2 buildings there, one on each of the lots. And those plans are in. He's got to go through Planning Commission, I believe.
Yeah, he's been through the Planning Commission, and they recommended approval, and so now it has to go to the City Council for site plan approval.
Okay.
It's a good-looking building.
It is a good-looking
Right.
building.
What about the ones in front of Agave?
Yes, that's the current dirt hole. That actually, I had been in contact with the owner of that last week because the building is just kind of stopped. You know, they roughed in for footings and plumbing and then never called us for inspections. It's been sitting there 4 or 5 months. There was a change in ownership of that building. Actually, in front of Agave, there are 3 out parcels. This is the first building of those 3 out parcels. It's going to have Smart Bank, which is the bank that's in the space in the actual
definitely need
CPSI
another
building.
bank.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
this one was planned. We've known about this
Okay.
one for a while. But they've actually purchased the building from, I think, the original developer. So we have a meeting scheduled with them Thursday to talk about getting that project going again. I know they had some contractors out there cleaning up
Good.
last week. We do have the site plans in for the Aldi grocery store out across from Walmart.
A lot of people are.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I have
Talking about
not,
that.
we've not received the construction plans for the building yet, but we
Okay.
have the site plans for utilities, roads, drainage. Now, that one is outside the city limits, it's in the county, so we can govern the construction standards for the building. We have some control over the drainage as well, but in terms of setbacks, facades, stuff like that, it's unzoned. So they kind of they can kind of do pretty much what they want to do as far as I know.
Weren't they willing to come in and say, didn't you talk to them about
I did.
first of all, the appearance of the building? You want to talk about that, what you talked about
Well,
with
and
their
the
folks?
appearance, siding, things like that. So we
Right.
did talk to the developer, and we're going to talk with the gentleman he's managing all the Aldi development along the Gulf Coast.
Okay.
Because it's a huge market for them. Now it is. From
Right.
now forward, they're planning a ton of them. And they're going to come in and actually meet with us and talk about the rental space, that they're going to lease.
Okay.
And the way that the property's actually sited, because there were some concerns about the siting, and we actually thought in terms of visibility, there were better options for them. So we did discuss that, and they're going to come in. It will cost them a little bit of engineering money.
Right, because this is located at one of the village centers that's been designated by the city for many
Future.
years now, and so But also, I think they talked to you about their building design too. Is that
The
right?
building design we did discuss, they seem pretty committed to a very modern building for this one. This is something they're rolling out that's somewhat new for them, and they're looking at this as being a little bit of their, presentation of this new design. So, but it will be very industrial, very modern, so.
Now we're just going to go around. And,
Just a few updates, and as you know, Mayor, I think you were very well aware of it. We had a Christmas parade this past Friday night, and, from a public works standpoint, I just want to tell you that I just want to brag on our guys.
Absolutely.
They get out there, they get it set up, when we left for the night on Friday night, you just wouldn't know there was a parade that occurred. And
Right.
I will tell you the one downside of having young people in a parade, they just haven't developed that throwing arm, and a lot of candy didn't
Well, I mean,
make
I'm
it-
included in that,
Didn't make
actually.
it too far and got ran over, and you just would be amazed how well a candy cane adheres to asphalt. So it's a little tough to clean up, but we've got it buttoned up, and I'm proud that our guys take such a servant's heart to provide the support to such a special event that's kind of the magic of Christmas, the magic of Fairhope, and just proud of them for what they do, because it's it was really a perfect night. The weather was just right where it needed to be. It was cool but not miserable. It was dry, and just everybody between our public utilities and our public safety and public works just makes that magic happen. I just thought it was a great night, and from a public works standpoint, it just went as smooth, almost too smooth. There just really was no hiccups there. Just as public works projects are, the bathroom at North Beach is moving along. The electricians were down there the other day. Weather has not been our friend. It seems like we get 1 or 2 days of dry weather and then it rains again. But we did complete our road resurfacing. We still have a little bit of striping for that contractor to complete and the reflective pavement markers. But if you haven't been out on Spring Run or Middle Street, it just rides like glass. And I know those citizens are happy to see that done. We continue to work forward on drainage improvements. Some were self-performing, such as Bayview and Fairhope. Fells is under design. We've got a couple sinkholes there that we knew that drainage was compromised, and we're getting that moving quickly to get repaired. Tonight on the agenda, we're requesting the council authorize us to make application for a recreational trails grant through ADECA. We're reapplying for the same trail system at North Beach Park.
Attempt.
The nice thing about ADECA, they kind of tell you where you were weak last time, and they kind of give you hints about where to strengthen your
Thank
application.
goodness.
And they do reward persistence. So we don't know if we're going to, and this is actually a 2020 application. That's just how far out you have to start. But again, we're excited about that. And then on the alley improvement and transit hub project, we should be getting our approved contract back from AlDOT, and so that we can release the designer to get started, and we can start the big portion of that is community engagement and the design process. So we're just excited about that. And I will, just for our citizens out there, the Fortified program is not just for new construction. There is an organization called Strengthen Alabama Homes that you can apply for and get a grant to bring your house up to a fortified standard. It's not a quick process. You may have to get in line and wait in line, but I will tell you, we were fortunate to sign up for that program. Got our house moved up to a 15-year-old house, moved up to a bronze standard, and saved about 15% on our wind and hail coverage. So
There was a time, Richard, that everybody was applying to have their roofs replaced, and they shut it down because they were overloaded.
Yeah,
Have they
they
opened
did.
that up again?
I have not heard.
They're looking for more funding.
Well, they're looking, a lot of this is funded by the insurance industry to some
Okay.
extent. And we have been told, I attend the hazard mitigation meetings with Baldwin County EMA. We're waiting to hear when the next batch of money is coming.
Okay.
They are trying to keep it, I think last year it was $5 million, and they burned through that very, very quickly. One of the other issues they had last year was they had approved a certain number of contractors to do the roofs.
Right.
And they were so backlogged. I think what I have been told is they're looking at expanding the pool of roofers that can do the work, and they're looking to get an expanded pool of money. So
Okay.
they haven't released that money yet. Once we do, we'll send out a notice to everybody and
Oh,
let
good.
them know.
Because I want to participate in that, too.
Smart Home America has been working, Alex
Yes.
Carey and that group are working really hard on that, on getting more funding down.
Well, it's a great program, and it actually works as advertised. I may have been lucky and got in early.
Yeah, I think you did.
When somebody says that you can get a grant to replace your roof and bring it up to a fortified standard, I didn't believe it, but then I did it, and it works.
Nice.
From the planning department, we've, been very busy. For the January meeting, we have 12 applications, which is, this is typically the slow period, but not now. It's pretty busy. We had our DRC meeting today, our Development Review Committee meeting today, where we meet with the applicants. We develop comments on their applications, send it out to the applicant, and then meet here in a public setting to discuss the comments or questions about those with all of the staff members. So that went well today. So on that, just moving forward, it's been busy, enjoying it. Again, it's nice to be busy because time goes by faster, but we've got some exciting projects going on, and our goal is to try to review these things as carefully as we can to make sure they're fully in compliance with all the proper regulations that the city has, and work very well with these guys here. They help a lot. They have a role in every development. You have utilities, you have public works, you have drainage, building, and so we work very well together. So that makes it very, very easy, and I want to thank them for all their assistance to make the development process smooth. If it's a predictable, smooth process, I think we've won from that perspective. And so far, I think it's been that way.
I wanted to point out too, and I pointed this out kind of in our 2-year review, is that, since the application process and the whole process in general is predictable and transparent, and we really do work hard to make sure that, the developers and anyone that's wanting to build a home, there's no surprises, when they go to the Planning Commission. And really, because of that, we can successfully say that we have not had any new litigation as a result of Planning Commission decisions. And I'm not trying to say that we're never going to have it, but what I can say is that is a significant change, in the last 2 years. And like I said, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, because that is, part of the city liability, but it has been very successful.
Well, I think by meeting early on in the process, you can set their expectations, but
Right.
also let them know what the rules are, and most people just want to know what they got to do.
Absolutely.
And if they're trying to develop something in a location that's not appropriate, we tell them in advance, and I think that helps a little bit with that as well. But again, our goal is to have it consistent, have it predictable, and have it a very smooth and stable process. And I think when that happens, everybody, again, it's got to be transparent. We have many meetings that are open to the public, and that people can come and provide their comments. I think that's very important as well. But our goal is to try to keep it as predictable and smooth, at the same time make sure they meet every single regulation. And you probably notice our staff reports have gotten very, very detailed.
Exactly.
We try to
Impressive.
cover every single thing we do and be as deliberate and as pragmatic as we can in this review. It's very important. Once these things are built, they're permanent. So if you mess up, it's
Well,
it's a
they're permanent if
long-lasting
they're fortified. Just kidding.
Right.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Tom?
Youth basketball, the game started Saturday, December 1st, and I think I heard Kelly say we had 423 boys and girls signed up this year.
Wow.
Just a huge number, and those volunteers do a great job, bringing all that together and finding practice space and game space for everyone. They do an outstanding job, because basketball has always kind of been a small following here, but it's getting bigger every year.
That's
They do
great.
just a great job. And then Nate and Noah have been working with RJ, working real hard trying to get some specs together to redo the inside of it. We have to replaster the indoor pool this winter, and they're also working on some heaters, and Richard's been working real hard with those two guys. I kind of turned them loose on it to give them a little experience in what it's like to plow through all this, and Richard's helping out big time with that. And then Lynn informed me today, because I hadn't been out to the Quail Creek Clubhouse, but she said the planning has started out there, so the landscaping and all that is underway, which I look forward to seeing that progress. And then, speaking of progress, tomorrow the crews are moving in to install the new playground at the Fairhope Soccer Complex that the city and Rotary Club of Fairhope partnered with. And it'll probably take them 2 days to get that done, and then we'll bring in some, I'll let Rotary know, and they want to bring in, do a little sweat equity, so we'll get some mulch and help them spread that and get that ready to go. I think we have to put 8 or 10 inches of mulch underneath it for padding.
Oh, great.
So I'm looking forward to that, because that's kind of been a long haul, and it's just going to add something to the complex out there. That's really all I
great.
have.
Very exciting.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate all the update on the building department. And we appreciate you calling to our attention issues that come up with utilities. And like Wayne and Richard have both kind of talked about, we try to do what we can to help everybody. We take every customer as, you know, the opportunity to give them good service, and we work hard to do that. From the utilities, you know, projects don't just start and end overnight, so we're still trying to get some of the utilities finalized on the plans for the 2 transmission projects we're working on. We hope to, at the next council meeting or the next work session, we hope to be able to offer a few site arrangements for the lift station at the base of Fells Avenue on Mobile Street. And at the Planning Commission, we had a pretty good discussion about providing infrastructure in different zones within the city. There was a couple of zones that had didn't have an exception. It just wasn't included in terms of being able to put in a utility infrastructure, which would be an elevated water tank, for example, or in this case, a substation where we're trying to move one to now. So council will be looking at amending that zoning ordinance based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. But in that discussion, you know, there's a question about how we can make the utilities become, you know, a visual asset to the area that they're located in versus maybe, you know, something that's not quite as pleasant to look at. And I think there's some validity to that. I think that's something that we should try to strive to do. And each site becomes a little bit of a different concern. You know, when you look at the base of Fells Avenue and on Mobile Street, you have the bay, which is obviously the vista of that location, and you certainly don't want to block that, so we're looking to create a fairly open arrangement, and everything will be below ground except for the electrical control system, and we're going to try to offset some fencing in there to kind of hide that behind some shrubbery, and it can all be low impact stuff. But
I think it's important to get before and after pictures.
yes, well, we certainly will.
Because when you took me down there, I'm like, I didn't realize how bad off it was. And I think
But
these things are going to be really make a great impact.
We do need to continue to have access to the location, and we need to continue to have security. So there's some certain parameters that we have to meet, and we want to do the best we can to be a good neighbor to everybody around us too. So anyway, at the next work session, we hope to be able to offer some options, and we'll see how that goes. Other than that, you know, the weather has turned a little bit cold, and I would just caution all of our utility customers that, you know, the thermostat can be brought down a little bit during the winter. You don't have to feel like you got to warm the whole house up. And I know that's a challenge to the income that we want to get, but at the same time, we don't have people thinking that they didn't recognize that, you know, that cold weather does offer high bills, and being able to budget that, and sometimes it can be difficult. So, you know,
One day we would love to get to the point where they can look at that on their cell phone.
Well, we get smart meters and get
Exactly.
to be that. Yeah, we can certainly do that. Then, of course, water, you want to be able to at least insulate your pipes if your piping is exposed under the house, and you know, if it's going to get to be a hard freeze, we should consider dripping your faucet a little bit to save some cost on pumping. But we do want to remind people that cold weather does present some challenges, and if you have any questions, I think we've got some information that we can share. Anybody has any questions like that, but anyway, we hope we'll have a good winter, but not a harsh winter, because it's a nice place to visit, you know, winter is, but I don't know that I want to live there.
That's
I don't know
funny.
where that comes from, but it's nicer that way for me.
We
And
just had
Richard,
that.
just so you know, when we bought our house on the Eastern Shore, it came with a gas fireplace that you just had to flick a switch. And the first cool weather, my wife was so thrilled. If she was in the house, that switch was up.
You got it.
She was so proud of that until we got the first gas bill.
Right.
It's only allowed to be turned on Christmas Day now.
Well, we still turn ours on, and we love it. And the great thing about natural gas fire logs, if they're not vented, which, you know, there's a level of BTU rating and some control features that are allowed. If they're not vented, then all the heat stays in the house, and it's pretty efficient in terms of that. You know, for the milder winter days, it just to take the chill off the air is pretty nice. But anyway, that's all I've got.
I'm enjoying my gas fireplace every night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll piggyback on Richard with thanking everyone for their hard work during the Christmas parade, which was amazing. I mean, I'm with you. It was so smooth, from the police to Public Works, and I mean, the guys, I always feel so bad I'm standing there and they're out there sweeping streets and working so hard, and I feel like I need to stay until they all go home, but, you know, I went home and they were still out there, and I'm watching, 10 o'clock news, they're still out there. They're, so I really appreciate them. I also appreciate the chair of that parade, Diane Herzog, who works really hard. She would be mortified if she knew I was recognizing her at all, but she works really hard and it goes smoothly because of her work. And then Paige, internally with the city, works very hard on everything and other people in the city help her, and it's all hands on decks. I mean, but they're running around with bows on floats and things that you just wouldn't even know about. They're doing after hours and in the early wee hours too.
I think the only thing we're going to look at possibly would be the route, so it's not kind of backed
Yeah.
up as it grows.
I
And
had
that's-
to laugh because we had friends actually in the parade. They were walking behind their kids who were in a float, and we were joking with them. We said, it gets really awkward when it stops and you're standing
Yes, it
there. But especially them, because they had nothing to throw. I said, I want pictures of that when you're just kind of awkwardly standing. But it does. It wraps. It's a good problem to have, I guess, because we have so many participants that want to be a part of it.
But I think
and that's
just
great.
keeping it flowing and maybe even doing something
Exactly.
similar to the Mardi Gras and other parades.
Yeah.
We'll
And
keep
Mayor,
it.
I would like to give it a shout out. I believe it was Lieutenant Hamrick, did I say
Yes.
it right? He was in charge of our section of scrunching the floats, but there was a lot of drivers that didn't understand the concept of scrunching, because I think we have had such success that when the front of the parade got to the intersection of Fairhope and Section, the back of the parade quite hadn't gotten through there yet.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That was-
and
and
I
that
even
was
watched
like
Lieutenant double
almost
park
30
some
minutes.
floats, so.
Of a delay.
Yeah, but it was great. It went really, really well. We actually had a photographer out there for the first time too, and one point I looked up at the Santa float, and he's up there on the float with Santa.
Yes.
And I said, I don't know if you've seen the photos, but go on our
Right.
Facebook page. It's our cover photo right now. It's amazing.
It really is.
He did. I thought at first, what is he doing up there? But I mean, when I saw the photos, they're just amazing.
I agree.
Magical. That's why they call it
Yeah,
the
they are.
magical Christmas parade. So that was fantastic. We dedicated we cut the ribbon sort of on the pocket park in the library. And again, thanks to Public Works for their hard work in making that happen, and Paul for the plantings. It became another monarch sanctuary. And we received our reimbursement from Baldwin Realtors, so that was really nice. That was a great grant, placemaking grant that we received. So it's kind of the first project that we've taken from the beginning to the end. So it's a small one, but we're happy about it. It's done. And now people can get out there and enjoy it. RTP, Richard mentioned that project. We're working on the ADECA grant and all the support documents for that. So I do hope we get that. And the timing's really good because first week of January, we kick off our National Park Service. It's a recreational and cultural trail master plan. So the steering committee has all been invited. We've had a lot of acceptances, yes, from people that have been invited to participate. So they're going to have some work to do, but it'll result in a master plan that identifies places where we have deficits in connectivity to our trails, our parks, our rec facilities, and some other things we'll look at. So we'll finally have a roadmap for filling in any gaps, and that's where Richard will come
Excellent.
in again. Because we'll be going after funding and filling those gaps.
Yes.
Alleyway project underway. I've been talking to a lot of merchants about that. They're really excited. We have a lot of work to do on that project.
This
but-
alleyway is the entrance to the parking garage.
Yes, thank you. It is. And there are so many partners on that project. It's going to be a great project. There's art involved, merchants, property owners, brats, connectivity, transportation. It's a great project. I'm excited about working on it. And I think we should have our final approval today, actually, to move forward. So it was supposed to be Friday. I don't want to put anyone in the county on the spot. It was supposed to be Friday, county.
All right.
So Wayne didn't mention this, but I'll just say VPS, the Visual Preference Survey report will come out. We're looking at the second week of January. We'll have the results on what people were excited about seeing in Fairhope in the future or want to see. So we've kind of been waiting on that ourselves. We don't know.
And the results of that will likely be some amendments to our ordinance, maybe some new ordinances, whatever we determine is the desirability of the DPS, and so we'll try to address those to improve Greener Road and the city as a whole.
I think just one, and hopefully a multitude of surveys as we look to next year and start the comprehensive land use plan.
That's right, and it all will be useful for that process. And Mayor, I know you know this, but we've heard from a lot of citizens that they're concerned or they want to be heard about the K1 property.
Yes.
So Wayne and I have been talking about coordinating a charrette for that property, and it's really just a place where people can be heard. We can get feedback and gather that and then report it out. So people are very emotionally attached to that property. My kids went to school there. I know yours did. A lot of people here. Some people here even have relatives that went to school there, all the way through high school. And they want to give feedback.
Well,
And-
it's like we've already said, it's an important location that transcends a residential to the CBD, and it's 6 acres, and a lot can be done with it, maybe in a phased approach, but everybody needs to be or feel like that they've had some input, and right now, that's not the case.
And a charrette is just a fancy word for brainstorming.
Exactly.
So it's basically just a place, a function of, or a process of being heard. And so we'll work on that and we'll put more out to the public when we're ready.
Okay.
Last thing is State of the City.
Yes.
I'll mention it again.
State of the City Expo.
Expo. You beat me to it, I was going to say it. But it's
I'll
on
add
the
it
24th of January here at the Civic Center, and it will be an expo. You can talk to your directors, department heads, staff. We'll all have tables that we are decorating. There will be giveaways, competitions, all sorts of fun things, information, giving out recycled bins. Is that what they called, Richard? The bin. Yes. So people can pick those up, but there'll be other things too. Rounds of golf will be given away. We're going to kick off some programs, all sorts of things, and
But
food.
But it's
There will
mainly
be
to
food.
just give everyone an opportunity to understand what these departments do, what they've accomplished and what their future plans are. But there's just so many things that go into all of these city departments, and this will be a way for our citizens to really get to know these people and understand what they do.
And city council and mayor and
Yes.
even our junior city council will have a table.
Yes.
So.
And
that's-
Sherry Lee,
yes.
have we set officially the start and end time for the expo?
It's from 5 until 7 p.m.
5 to 7.
And Mayor Sherry Lee made me remember something. Evidently, there's going to be a project at the Fairhope K6. They're going to be building, I was told, an addition, a wing, or a gym. I don't know that. I had a contractor call me today asking about permit fees. And since it is a Baldwin County public school, they do not permit or get any inspections through the city of Fairhope.
Okay.
Because it's county-owned property, so the Baldwin County Building Department will handle all of those inspections. However, we do coordinate with them on fire safety. We'll generally get a set of plans that we have in our archive for any work they do. And I do know Sandy will be going out there for fire inspection, and probably Chief Ellis will be out there as well to coordinate. But folks will be seeing some work going on at the K6. I don't know what the start date was, but I did receive a call from a contractor today about it, so.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's everything.
I have only just one little thing to add.
Okay.
The guys down at the marina have been very busy, temporarily but safely repairing G-Dock, and that's the dock that runs along the jetty. It was about 95% destroyed after Nate, but they're putting it back together, and expect to have it ready for viewing for fireworks.
Which nobody really knew that you could
That you
view
could
everything.
Yeah. You can see
There.
across the bay, you can see everybody's fireworks from there.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.